Well, hello. Hold on. Is that feeding back? Sounds like it might be feeding back.
Sorry.
It might be feeding back. No, it's me. It's my microphone. Anyway, so here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Well, hello, and welcome back to that thing we like to call Curless Mania, where we talk all things pop, rock, and prog. But before we do anything else, I have to welcome back to the channel the one and only Amy Fox. Amy, how are you tonight?
Hey, Tom, how's it going? I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on your show. I'm looking forward to talk about Soundgarden.
Yeah, oh yes. We're doing a little, I've been doing left turns on my channel like crazy. Just left turn, right turn. I mean, just been going crazy. And this one is the one I very welcome. I think I reached out to you on this one because you had mentioned something about you had like a series for a while on your channel where you were talking about grunge. You were talking about Alice in Chains, and you were talking about I think Nirvana. I think you were talking about I think Soundgarden. You were bringing a lot of grunge bands up, and I thought I've been dying to talk about grunge. Like I want to do some grunge stuff. So I was like, "Hey, how about Soundgarden? Would you be interested in that?" And you're like, "Yeah, let's do it." So that's how we got going on this topic. So I'm excited.
I'm excited too.
Yes, yes. So when was I'm starting all my episodes this way now. When was the first time do you remember hearing Soundgarden for the first time? Like was it on MTV? Was it on the radio? When was the first time you heard them? Do you
Well, the
remember?
first time I remember hearing Soundgarden was obviously in the 90s, and it was in a car. And most of my memories are when I was a child riding in the car with my parents because they would always turn up the volume and they listened to all the classic rock stations. So, really, you know, mid 90s is when it really kind of stuck with me. I
Mhm.
didn't really get into Soundgarden until probably in the 2000s.
Okay.
It really more, it resonated with me more, because everything, well, grunge was really happening in high school in the year 2000. It was just a really big thing for the kids, and they were really embracing all the grunge bands like Alice in Chains and Nirvana, and Soundgarden was really when I started diving into their albums.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Okay. Well, that's great. That can happen where you've heard a band, but then you don't really get into them or dive in until later. That happens to me a lot where, it's like I always talk about there's certain bands that you're just like, whoa, what happened? Why did I miss that band? And then like, or like you said, maybe it'll hit you differently at a different age. That can happen too, where you're like, wow, this album's really hitting me. Like, I don't remember it hitting me like this when I was 17 or 18 or whatever, you know? So,
It's really interesting because, there was a couple of guys in high school that would play their guitar, sit under a tree, and they would play a lot of Nirvana and Alice in Chains, just like on an acoustic. And
yeah.
really, like my interest really came from them, just listening to them play and, ooh, what's that? And it
Yeah.
really turned me on to grunge, just, the kids in school. And then I got into the albums and I was like, wow, this is powerful. This is strong. This is deep. And,
Yeah.
as high school girl and boy, your emotions are just like, trying to figure out life.
Yeah. Yes. Definitely a time in life when you're trying to figure things out for sure. But music helps. And music helped me get through like high school. And like I was the guy who always had like the Walkman on. I'd be walking around, like always listening to music. It was always like my tonic. Like if something was going wrong, I'd be like, get a new record or something, and I'd be like, I'll be all happy again. So um that was me. So anyway, so back to Soundgarden. We are doing and Amy's got both of these. She can hold them up. I couldn't find my CD for Badmotorfinger, but we are doing an album battle between Badmotorfinger
Motorfinger.
from 1991. There it is. There it is. Awesome. And versus Superunknown from 1994. Look at that. Awesome cover. Love it.
Really awesome cover.
Yes. So these are the two heavy hitters for me for Soundgarden when it comes to Soundgarden. I mean, they're one of my favorite grunge bands. Let me get that out of the way. I love them. I think they have a lot to offer. They're very diverse for a grunge band. They do strange time signatures. They do detuned guitars. You know, they'll do like drop detuning. They do. They have these kind of interesting lyrics. I just think they're a very interesting band, and you know, it's not just Chris Cornell. I mean, the whole band writes. So I just think it's a very well-rounded band, and they were back when they were on their game. They were like pretty hard to beat. So let's just do a quick rundown of Soundgarden real fast, just to kind of a you know baseline of this band. So they were formed in 1984. They put out 6 records. They were in existence from about 1984 to 1997. That was sort of like the first run, and then they got back together in 2010 for a couple of years, from 2010 to 2017. Um, the band members: Chris Cornell, obviously, Kim Thile on guitar, Matt Cameron on drums, Hiro Yakamoto, or Yamamoto, I think is the name. He was on original bass player, and then he was replaced by Ben Shepherd in 1991. Um, they were the first Seattle grunge band to be signed to a major label. So which is interesting. A&M is the label that signed them. They were originally on Sub Pop in Seattle, and then they put out their Ultra Mega OK, which was their first full length record on SST. So they were sort of like doing these kind of small independent labels, and then they got signed to A&M. So they have, like I said, they have 6 records in all, and if we jump into Badmotorfinger, this is their third studio album. It was released October 8th, 1991, recorded in spring 91 at 3 different studios: Studio D, Bear Creek, and A&M in Hollywood. Again, the label, as I said earlier, is A&M. Produced by Terry Date and Soundgarden. The singles from the album were Jesus Christ Pose, Rusty Cage, and Outshined. So wow, what a lineup of singles. So what's your general take, Amy, on this on Badmotorfinger? What do you when you listen to this record, what are the tracks that really jump out at you?
Well, personally, between Motorfinger and Superunknown, I feel that Motorfinger is the harder album. In
Yes.
my experience, I feel it's much harder. Let's
Hmm.
talk about the first track, Rusty Cage.
Oh
It's
man.
it's such a great track, isn't it?
Oh my God, it's
And
amazing.
did you know that Johnny Cash covered that song?
Yes, I
Isn't
do know
it
that. How
incredible?
how cool is that?
Could you imagine how nerdy they felt knowing that Johnny Cash wanted to cover their song? So I
It's
think that,
so cool too. It's like I'm gonna break. I'm gonna break my rusted cage.
oh, I just think it's great. It's so legendary and it's incredible. I love the lyrics as well, you know, and it just makes me think of, you know, you've had enough. You know, someone is just beating you down and you had enough. You know, your cage, you're kind of stuck in this anger cage and you're ready to just break free from that cage and be like, I'm done. Whether it's a
Yes.
relationship, a job, it really can relate to anything. So I really like Rusty Cage. I think it's a great song. I love that Johnny Cash covered it. He really gives it a different take, and that song's great.
Yes. Oh my God, what a track. What an opening track, right? I love that. I love the riff that it's like it's just relentless. And the vocals are just like Chris Cornell is just killing it on that song. You know, he's doing the whole I'm gonna play. I mean, it's like, oh my God, it's so cool.
I love Chris Cornell. He really gives grunge a whole new experience because it's not just hard. He has this vibrato in his vocals, and
Yes.
he sounds beautiful. Another grunge artist that I can say that really shares that talent is Lane Staley. Is
Haley.
that
Yeah.
his last
Yep.
name?
Yes, that's
Lane
right. Yep.
That vibrato is just so beautiful.
Yeah.
But again, I mean, Chris Cornell can make it sound just very beautiful, like classy, like
Mhm.
if that makes any
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
He
It's
just
like,
has
yeah.
a way
Like
of
it's
going
hard.
from
It's
the
hard.
beat
Yeah.
to this beautiful vibrato, you know?
Yeah. It's like it's hard rock and it's very, very heavy, but he makes it beautiful with that singing. Yeah, I know what you mean.
He really does.
Yeah. What do you think of Outshined?
I like Outshined. I think it's a really great track. I think it's about feeling superior, but also feeling inferior. And it just has a really great contrast. I really like this track a lot. How do
Yeah.
you think about it?
Oh God, I love it. I think it's great. I think those first two tracks are just so strong. Um, and it's a little bit, it's funny after the frenetic craziness of Rusty Cage, it kind of outshine kind of comes in. Ding, 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 boom, bam, bam. It's just like it's sort of a groove track almost. And I just love how they kind of slow it down, and they're really good at that. They're very good at doing these sort of slow rhythms. It's almost Black Sabbath-esque at times, it almost feels like early Black Sabbath sometimes, the way they do those, I kept the movie running, I just love I just think it's a great track. I think the first two songs are just unbelievable on this record.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
And then we go into Slave and Bulldozer. I mean, this is a great example of his vocal ranges, just going from vibrato to the beast. Like it gets really intoxicating towards the end of that track. I mean,
Mhm.
it is just so hard. Like his screams aren't just screams, they're almost growls. And the way I always said this is if you're going to scream and you're going to growl, you better sound like the devil. I
Yeah.
always said that because I was never into screaming music. What's that
Hmm.
genre of music? The really whiny music.
Oh God, I
They
can't.
wear black all the time
Yeah,
and
not it's not goth. It's oh God, I know
it's
what you
so
mean.
You
What?
know exactly what I mean. Well, that's what I'm saying. If you're going to be a screaming band, you better sound like the devil because I don't like no whiny screams and stuff. So Chris Cornell is the man. And he really pushes in these grunge albums because nobody pushes as hard as Chris Cornell in vocals
Yeah,
to a
yeah,
scream or a growl, you know?
yes.
Definitely has great talent. Now, Jesus Christ Pose. So, Slave and Bulldozer and Jesus Christ Pose are some of my favorite tracks on here.
Oh, okay, great, excellent.
Yes, I love Jesus Christ Pose. I think it's great. I think it's about Christianity forcing their fears and religion on you.
Mhm.
And it's very controversy because, when you're talking about Christ, you have to do it so easy. And there's really great lines on here where they talk about them putting their hands on you and just being really forceful, and you can't you can't do that. And I like this song, Jesus Christ Pose. I
Oh,
think
I
it's
love it.
great.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. I think it has to do with like kind of distorting religion to try to make people do what you want, kind of thing. I don't know. I'm not positive about that, but that's the vibe.
Yeah, it's just a track that I like. I like the idea behind it. You get a lot of, songs that talk about it. But Face Pollution, I love how it's so fusion of punk and metal. I hear a lot of punk and metal in there. It's
Yes.
such a great combo, and I guess you can call that grunge. but it's so distinct. I love it because you could really hear the two different styles, and I just love that combo.
Yeah. Oh yeah. No, I think that's great. I think you're absolutely right. I definitely hear a little bit of punk in there for sure.
Mhm.
You know, that thing at the end was face pollution, face pollution. Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty intense actually.
Yeah. When I think of punk, I think of like the Clash. I think of old school punk.
Oh yeah.
That's what I hear.
Yep. Yep. How about man, I love Searching with My Good Eye Closed. Oh my God, I love this track.
Maybe you can help me understand it a little more because it's not an easy track for me to understand.
Yeah, I don't know. You're like the lyrics person. I don't get it. I'm more the music guy. Like there's just like the way that they play this is
Mhm.
like it just has that like that vibe to it. And I that whole I was searching with my good eye closed. I don't know. I just think it's a great the way it goes. I can't describe it. I wish sometimes words cannot. You try to describe music and the words just don't come.
It's
But
a little bit of an easier track, isn't it?
yes, yes,
But
yes,
at the end, it reminds you that no, this is a grunge album because it gets more intense as it gets towards the end. And
yes,
yeah, it's a great song.
yes, yes. So, and then I also it kind of goes hand in hand with Room. Is it Room a Thousand Years Wide? That that's another one that is kind of again it's slow, it's sort of a slow down track and it's kind of a mid tempo, and it does that do 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 do, and I just love I love the way he sings it. He sings it kind of very low register, and but he still, yeah, of course he still does the signature scream at some points, but he still does the whole like 1,000 years wide. I mean, just like he's singing it lower, and I love that. I think it's very cool.
You could feel the build up in that track as it builds up. I love it too. I think it's
Yeah.
great.
Yep. Yep. How about Mind Riot? What do you think of that?
I loved Mind Riot. It is one of my favorites, and I just think that it's lyrically and vocally incredible. Um,
I've been caught in a mind riot. It's like when your
so
mind is running wild or something.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to explain the feeling of how it makes me feel inside. It's like I can't even capture the feeling. The song musically is just incredible.
Yes, it is. It is.
Vocally. And, I'd love to sit here and talk about the lyrics, but really, I mean, the writing is really obscure at times where it's like it's hard to follow. But the feeling musically and
Yeah.
lyrically really comes together because I find Chris Cornell really makes an impression vocally on how the song feels.
Yes.
You read
Yes.
the lyrics and you're like, what does this mean? And you're trying to follow it. But he really puts the expression through his vocals where it's like, oh, okay, I know what you're saying.
Yes, absolutely. What is it? Candles burning yesterday. Somebody's best friend died. Um, I've been caught in a mind riot. Yeah, it's interesting. I just love the idea of I love the title Mind Riot. Like I just think that's a great, it's like because there's almost like I could take it almost like your mind is, these days your mind is like running wild and you can't you have to like discipline it and stop. And it's like I see that as like mind. I don't know. I just think it's a great concept. I love that idea.
I love it just musically and vocally. It's a great song. Like it's a great banger song.
It is. It is.
Up and yeah, I really enjoy it very much.
So the next highlight for me is I love Holy Water. I just love. I skipped over Drawing Flies, which is like kind of a rockin', like really rockin' track, actually.
It is. It's a real punk rock alternative grunge. It has like all the different like genres in it. I think it feels incredible. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny. I think you've mentioned punk a couple times, and I'm pretty sure the songs that you're mentioning are Ben Shepherd songs, and he was kind of a punky. He came from punk or something. So it's just interesting that you're mentioning punk on those tracks. So it's interesting.
Grunge is very interesting because I find there is hints of punk influence, not just in Soundgarden, but
Right,
also
right.
in other grunge artists like
Sure, for
bands.
sure. Yeah.
So it's interesting how they created grunge, like how it came to be.
Yes. What do you think of Holy Water? Do you like that track?
I think it's another track about pressing beliefs too fiercely on somebody. And I think it's just another track just like it.
Yeah, I just love the what is it? Holy water rushing me. It's funny because I remember like when I first listened to this, or I was listening this week for this episode. This track was sort of a deep track that I was like, oh, I really like this one. I forgot. Like this was a good track. It's one of those, there's always something that pops up at you like, whoa, I really like this song. I forgot how much I like this.
I
Yeah.
think lyrically it's very interesting. It's very metaphoric almost. And I just like the way that it's written.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
the grunge era really was an interesting time because there was a lot of like stop forcing your opinions on me and
Right.
stop trying to change me. They were against conformity and there was a lot happening, in music
Standing
and
up.
grunge music. Yeah,
Standing
exactly.
against a man. Yes. I mean, this is sort of these were like Gen X anthems. These were, I mean, I was there in the 90s when these albums were coming out. And I remember I'm Gen X. I remember this feeling of like, yeah, these bands are speaking for me, man. I remember
Yeah,
that feeling. So uh
there's certain lyrics.
yeah. Then ends with New Damage, which what do you think of that one?
I think New Damage is about awareness. It's about the faceless poison. Like, you're not going to see it coming. Be in your awareness,
Mhm.
observing, know what's coming because it has no face. You know what I mean? Whether it's corruption or, just live in your awareness because you know what I'm trying to
Love
say.
that. I love that, Amy. That's great. That's awesome. I love it. I think you're definitely onto something with that.
Yeah.
Yes, very cool. I like that. It's got no face. I like that. That's awesome. I love talking to you about lyrics because you're just like so and you just really dive in way more than I do. And that's why I love doing episodes with you. Um, and it gives me like a new perspective on the track. I love it. So let's dive into Super Unknown. So it's their fourth studio album. It's the next record they released on March 8th, 1994. So it was 3 years later. Recorded July through September 1993 at Bad Animals in Seattle. Um, again on A&M, A&M label, produced by Michael Beanhorn and Soundgarden, so different producer this time. The singles were Spoon Man, Day I Tried to Live, Black Hole Sun, My Wave, and Fell on Black Days. So wow, 5 singles. Um, it was certified 6 times platinum, so it did really, really well. It's definitely by far their most successful record, and it won 2 Grammys. So it did very, very well at the time. I really think that this was like the height of their popularity with this record. Really quick before I forget to say this, I just want to do this right now. I grabbed a couple CDs because Badmotorfinger was 1991. Look at this. What other albums were in 1991?
Uh-huh. Yep.
Pearl
Never
Jam 10,
mind. 10, Pearl Jam 10, Stone
Smashing
Temple
Pumpkins,
Pilots.
Gish.
Oh, no, that's not Stone Temple, is it? No.
No, Smashing Pumpkins,
That's
Gish.
Pumpkins.
I mean, there's a lot of great music came out in 1991. It's just kind of a great year for music.
Yes, yes. It
I
was
mean,
a great year for everything, the 90s,
yeah,
not just grunge, so many different genres of music coming out. It
yeah,
was killer time for music.
yeah. It
My
was. It really was. It was kind of like the last gasp. I would say the '90s were sort of the last gasp of the old school music,
like
like
creativity. It was
yeah.
like, all the creativity was there. It was like after the 90s, it was like, what happened?
It was like the last like really good batch of like great bands came like in the '90s. You know what I mean? It just feels like since then it's kind of been like yeah, hit or
Yeah,
miss. Like
I
maybe I'm just old, but that's the way it feels to me. I don't know. Anyway, okay, so let's jump into Super Unknown, which is just a phenomenal. By the way, both of these albums are phenomenal. Just going to put it out there right now. They're both very good. It jumped and I just man, this album psychs me up. Whenever I need psych, like if I need to psych up for something, like I'm like put on Let Me Drown, like let's go. Like it's such a great. That's what a great opener. That
and it's a hard song.
man, it's
I
killer.
and I love the bridge. Vocally, how that bridge changes is incredible. I love that vocal change that Chris Cornell does. It's just
Yes.
beautiful.
Yes. Amazing way to kick off the record. And then it goes right into My Wave. Um, again, the riffs are just relentless on this record too. That down there now, I just it's just so cool. They're like riff machines.
Another song, You Do You, I Do Me. Don't interfere with my life and I won't interfere with yours. I think metaphorically, that's the way I took it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
kind of feel the same way about that. Yes. Yeah, and they do explore a lot of darker themes, right? They don't shy away from darkness on a lot of this stuff. And, like Fell on Black Days is the next track. And I think it's kind of a meditation on depression a little bit. I think that's the way I always felt like this song. I don't know. What do you think?
depression was talked about a lot, in that time. I mean, people were opening up about a lot of things about addiction, depression, suicide. I mean, it was all like exposed. So, yes, I like that take. I
Yeah,
like you
they weren't
brought that up.
they weren't
Yeah.
afraid to look under the rock and like that this is the beginning of the whole like it's okay to talk about depression. It's okay. People have anxiety, people have depression. It's okay. And let's let it out through music.
And
You know?
it was important to reveal, in my opinion, so that you don't feel shame. I think that these topics were important. Some people think, oh, it's depression. It's depressing music. Turn it off. It's like, no. I mean, we need to know the pains of these people so we can help these people. And music, you know, can really send out a message.
Yes.
And it helps us understand, through the music, and you could feel a lot through music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. For sure. I mean, music is a healer, man. I've always said that music can heal,
Mhm.
in some ways. And it's just kind of a thing where, oh, I'm not alone kind of thing. So I'm not gonna go. There's a lot of tracks on this record. There's 15
Oh
tracks.
yeah.
And actually it's an hour. It's over an hour. I would say the one thing about Super Unknown that to me is like, wow, this album is long. Like and there maybe the only thing I could say it's a very strong record, but it's
Mhm.
almost like it could be even stronger if maybe like one or two tracks were left off. That's just my opinion. This is totally if someone might just totally
Mhm.
disagree with me, um but like Super Unknown, the title track, I just think what do you think of that? I just love that track.
Superunknown. I find it's a very rock alternative feel. I definitely think it's talking about conformity and how corrupt the world is, in my opinion. um have more belief in the unknown. I think that's what it's about. You know what I mean? Like don't follow the crowd,
Yes.
believe in the unknown. have more belief in that. There's more freedom in the unknown. That's the way I always took it. But my mind is very
Oh
uh,
man,
philosophical. I'm
that's
full of
another
philosophies.
that's another great take, Amy. I love that. That's it kind of reminds me a little bit of like, Sheep, by Pink Floyd. Like, don't be a sheep. Don't just follow the crowd, and it's okay. Like we've always said that, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Like sometimes you have to take a chance and go somewhere unknown to be better person. I don't know.
Yeah, sometimes you need to trust in the unknown because, following the big crowd isn't always the way to go. Even though everybody's going there,
Right.
doesn't mean the place you need to go.
Great take. I love it. I love it. So what's your take on Black Hole Sun? That was kind of one of the singles. Um, I thought this was kind of almost like this was sort of like a classical pop. I mean, not pop, but like a rock, like a kind of a straight ahead rock song for them. You know what I mean? It was kind of commercial in a way.
It was very, at least in Canada, it was very radio.
Yeah.
People loved that song in Canada, and I loved it at such a young age. Hearing this song at such a young age, it has such a uniqueness about it. Like Black Hole, I don't want to sing. I'm not a good singer. Go ahead, sing Black Hole Sun, Black Hole, sorry, Black Hole Sun. I'm getting tongue-tied.
Sun, won't you come and wash away the rain, black old sun. Yeah, that I
How
love
can
that.
you forget that lyric? Like, how can you forget that rhythm? It just
Yeah.
sticks with you. It's one of those songs where it sticks with you. And I remember hearing it at such a young age, and it stirred me inside. It
Hmm.
stirred me. Like I felt this. I even remember the way I felt listening to it as a young person. Just I felt this sadness, you know? I
Hmm.
felt this really dark sadness. And there's in verse 3, it says, hang my head, drowning my fear, till you all just disappear. And I really think, again, it's probably about depression.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just always, some people feel music differently, but in my opinion, it's a very sad, dark song. And you got to think the black hole, I mean, that sucks you in.
Yeah.
The black
Yeah.
hole was made to suck everything into the darkness. And
Yes. Yes. And it's kind of an interesting theme, like thing again, it's an interesting image of like it's because you think of the sun, you think of warmth and and light and it's all positive, but then the black hole sun is like so it's yeah, it's like it's the
I always
opposite.
thought of the black hole. So
Yeah. So I
the
don't
dark
know.
place.
But it's such a good song. I mean, somebody I think when he played a mix to another musician, I can't remember who it was. It was a musician in another band, another contemporary band, another grunge band of some sort. And they played it to him, and he was like, "Oh, this is going to be your breakthrough song. Like this is going to be your like this is a really good song." And
It's
and it could be on the radio kind of thing. Yeah.
lyrically, musically, vocally, it's just very unique. I think it's very unique in the grunge category. I mean, nothing sounds like it in
Mhm.
all of grunge, in my opinion. That song just has a very distinct sound. It's just like
Yes.
you
Yes.
hear it and you're like, yeah, that's Soundgarden.
Yeah. Yes.
You
Exactly.
know where
And
it came
yeah.
from.
And I love that in the verses they do. I think it's a guitar through a Leslie speaker, and it's such a cool effect, such a great sound. I love that track. And then I love the next track, Spoon Man, as well. I mean, I never get tired of Spoon Man. Like Spoon Man is such a jam that I just every time if I really want to fire up, I always talked about this already, but if I want to fire up, I always get Spoon Man on there, like crank it up really loud, and that just that I mean, that is such an again another amazing riff.
And
Um,
you hear those spoons. They actually put the spoons
yes,
in there, and
yes,
the question is, what does the song even mean? Is it about a man on the street playing the spoons and or is it about heroin?
Oh,
Heroin
wow.
and the
I never
spoons.
thought of that. There you go.
So I always wondered, like, what is the song about? Because lyrically, it has like such a good beat, and you think of a man out there playing his spoons, just like a man would be out playing his guitar, or is it a heroin song?
Yeah,
So,
I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I always went with it was actually a guy, like because I think there's a guy in Seattle that did play the spoons out on the street, and if you listen to the lyrics, he says something about Spoon Man, come
yeah,
together with your hands, save me, and like he's basically saying like I'm in, you're helping me out, like watching you do your spoons thing routine is helping
yeah.
me, you know.
I'm gonna take that take because it's happier and I like it.
Upbeat. He's upbeat for once. The Soundgarden's upbeat. I love it. Yes. So
I need the happy moment.
what else? Day I Tried to Live is another pretty standout track, don't you think?
I love the instrumental intro. I think it is fantastic. I think it's about working in corporate. And I really think that you're one of the top dogs. And your job is to, it's almost like Pink Floyd, you know,
Mm-hmm.
Pink Floyd,
Welcome to the Machine.
like
Yeah.
the pigs, you got
Pig. Yes. Yes.
kind of above and everybody is kind of like below you. You're kind of shooting lies and because you're trying to get up that ladder. That's the way I took the song. Like you have your lower dogs and then you have your corporate. You have the big dogs up here and at the end of the day, you don't feel good about it. You think you would feel superior, but at the end of the day, you just kind of feel like SHIT.
Yeah.
You're
Yeah.
I'm not as superior as I feel. Like I kind of feel like crap at the end of the day, the way I'm treating people.
Yes.
The way
Yeah.
I took this song.
Well, that's interesting. You're killing it tonight. You are killing it with the analysis. I'm loving it, man. It's
Glad.
awesome. Yes, I love it. No, I think that's really interesting. Like I never really thought of that. And yeah, I mean, it's just like, just like you said, it's like Roger Waters with the pigs. It's like, you think you're hot SHIT, right? But really when it comes down to it, you're just going to be alone, just like everyone else dying of cancer somewhere. Like, when he does that whole, you know, it's really dark, but it's like basically saying you think you're top dog now, but you're just going to be like everyone else at the end of the day.
Like
You
the
know?
dogs and the sheep. The dogs, sheep, and pigs.
Oh, right, exactly. I
Thank
love God.
you, Roger Waters, because I love animals.
Oh
I don't.
God, let's not talk about animals.
I
That'll
know because I can go on,
I
but I
could.
can't do Soundgarden.
God, I love animals so much. It's such a great Floyd record. Oh my God, so good. Anyway, okay, so we're not talking about Pink Floyd today. We are talking about Soundgarden.
Yes.
So Kickstand is interesting because you talked about punk a lot, and this is sort of the punk track on this record. It's very fast and very quick and very kind of. It's like literally like 2 minutes.
This
Um,
is an interesting track, and I couldn't wrap my head around it. It's a very short, interesting track. It feels very different. It's very
yes.
almost experimental lyrically and everything because, it's not I wouldn't consider it a song. It's a track. You know what I mean? In my opinion. And is it about a boy and a bicycle, wanting to ride a motorcycle as he gets older? Like I couldn't wrap my mind around what it could be.
Yeah, I
You know,
was wondering if it
like
was a relationship too. There's sort of like there's a couple lines in there. You're wondering if he's talking about a woman or a bicycle or yeah, you don't know. I'm not sure,
it's
but
like I feel like maybe, it brings him back to a child riding a bicycle. You feel like macho. But as
right.
he's getting older, he's like, I want to be a man and ride a motorcycle. But these lyrics are really tricky and it's a love or hate relationship. but I
Right.
love riddles. I mean, I could sit here and you could riddle me out. You could just throw them at me and I will sit there and pick at them and pick at them. But, you know,
Yes.
I love that.
No, I love it. I love it. So, what do you, I want your analysis on the final track, Like Suicide. Of course, we're talking about dark subjects on this record a lot.
Yep, like suicide now. I don't know if you're gonna be with me on this, but I heard something. I heard a little something down the grapevine that this is about a crow that flew into a window.
Oh, yes, I did hear this story. Yes.
The neck
Yes.
broke, and I think this, I don't know if it's a true story, but Chris Cornell was forced to finish the crow off because it was suffering.
Suffering, right. He wanted to end the suffering. Yes.
So
Yeah.
I don't know that if that's a true story, but I heard it down the grapevine.
Yes. No, I heard that too. I heard that too. I heard yeah, that's right. So that's what inspired the song, apparently.
And you know what? I love that take on it.
Mhm.
And they mentioned the word murder. I'm not sure if you know this, but like a flock of crows is called a murder. It's called,
Oh, I didn't know
um,
that.
yeah, when there's a flock of crows flying, they're called a murder of crows. That's what they're called, a murder of crows. So you have the word murder in there as well. And it's
Oh,
great.
oh, there's a Sting lyric. He says something black like a murder of crows. And I never knew what that meant. So there you go. You just explained that one for me too. That I can't remember what song it is. It's a Sting solo track. It'll
Mm.
come to me eventually, but I'll put it in the I'll type it in the editing when I'm editing this video. I'll put the title of
Yeah.
the song in.
You can really fool people with that, really twist their minds. And I don't know. I think lyrics are really interesting because a songwriter, poet, I mean, it's really their take. You know what I mean? And whatever is in their imagination, they're going to understand the feeling of that song. And I just love how other people can interpret it differently. I love that so much. And especially like using like little signs like he's talking about a crow. I mean, nobody's really going to know that, putting murder in there and, just key words that, you know, can
Hmm.
describe crow.
Yeah.
I think
No,
it's a brilliant song. I love it.
no, it's great. I love it too. It's a great way to end the record. I think it's a very good way to conclude the album. So, so yeah, so wow. So these both of these, like I said earlier, both of these records are very very good in my opinion. This is kind of like Soundgarden at their height, just for me personally. Um, so what is your we always have to come to that point in the episode where if you had to if you had to pick one of these, which one would you pick?
Have to go with Motorfinger. I know some would say Superunknown, but I love how lyrically hard this album is. And
Hmm.
I'm going to listen to grunge. I want it to be really hard. It's like, I'll use a clear example, Alice in Chains. I'm going
Hmm.
to listen to Dirt
Dirt.
or
Yeah.
I listen to Sap.
Yes.
And it's Sap and what? Sap and Jars of Fly?
Dara
No.
Flies. Yeah. Or yeah, I believe so.
I'm gonna listen to grunge. I'm gonna listen to it as hard as it gets and get, you know, that grunge, just get those feelings out. That's
Yes,
what I want
I want the heaviness. I want heavy. I want it
actually.
like let's go 100%, 110%.
Make me full. That's what it is. If I'm gonna listen to grunge, it better make me full, because I only want to listen to it a handful of times a year because they're dark lyrics and they're pretty heavy. So make me full. I'm gonna go as hard as it gets.
Yes, I love that. I love that pick. And what's funny is that this week, when I was going into this happens a lot. I'm gonna call myself out because I do this a lot where I go in thinking I thought for sure it was going to be this.
Oh,
I
really?
thought for sure I was gonna pick a Super Unknown,
What made you change your mind?
and I changed my mind this week when I was listening to Bad Motorfinger. I was like, okay, this album, like, there's something about this record, like Rusty Cage outshined
Mhm.
to me the tracks that I love are like I love them like times 10. Like they're just so amazing. Rusty
Yeah.
Cage outshined Jesus Christ Pose,
Yes.
Room a Thousand Years Wide, Searching with My Good Eye Closed, Mind Riot. I mean, it's like, whoa. And when I was listening again, it was the homework for this episode. I went, okay, Bad Motorfinger is kicking my butt. Like, I love
Yeah.
this record.
It's
So
a great
I
record.
gotta pick it. So it's two for Bad Motorfinger, which is like surprising because
Yeah.
like their breakthrough. This was like their big album. But
Yeah.
I love this record. Don't get me wrong. This album is excellent. It's
Yep.
excellent.
It's
But
definitely hard to choose, it is, but, at the end of the day, we gotta pick one, at least for this show today.
that's exactly, we always say that. That's my pick this week.
That's right.
Ask me some other time, it might be Super Unknown. So so anyway, but yeah, that's it. So that, I don't know what else to say, folks. I mean, what would you pick? Put your pick in the comments below. We want to know. We want to know, because people might say, oh my god, are you kidding me? Super Unknown like wins it by a mile. I mean, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of those comments on this one. I'm going to say Super Unknown by a mile. But that's, hey, that's great, man. That's how you feel. Let's hear it. That's all that's what we love. We love debating about it. We love talking about it. So but thanks again, Amy. Thank you for joining me tonight.
Yes, thank you for having me here, and, um, I enjoyed discussing these 2 great albums. Thank you.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was really something different tonight, which I really appreciated. And Anyway, that's it. So if you've been with us this long, you must be a big Soundgarden fan. We appreciate you, and give us a like. And I always have to say, hit subscribe, because if you hit subscribe, it just helps the channel. And by the way, don't sleep on Amy's channel. I have to say, I almost forgot to say that. I'm going to put a link to her channel below. It's Amy's Vinyl Experience, right? Is that correct?
That's
That's the
it,
correct name,
yes.
right?
Thank you.
Amy's Vinyl Experience. She's got a lot of great content. You don't want to miss that. Don't sleep on that, and go subscribe to her channel as well. So just spread the love, spread the YouTube love.
Yes.
It doesn't. It
Spread
takes
the
a minute. It takes
music.
2 seconds. You just press the button. It's not hard. Anyway, thanks again, everybody, and we will see you next time on Curless Mania.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.